You don't wake up. You return. A slow breath curls in your chest like steam from a broken amphora. You open your eyes, but the world stays dim, stone-colored, warm, and quiet, like clay dust settling on tired skin. The room smells like olive oil and the sweat of yesterday. Wool blankets lie tangled beneath you, and your pillow, if that's what it was ever meant to be, is full of straw, feathers, and some sharp little thing that shouldn't be there. Your back aches from a lifetime that isn't over yet. Your feet are cold. Your stomach is empty, but not the loud kind of empty. The old kind. The kind that just hums quietly like a forgotten prayer under your ribs. No gods came to feed you in the night. No dreams either. Only the dull, steady silence of ancient stone and tired air. The kind of silence where stories are buried, not the ones with heroes, the other kind. What if history erased you? You were never Heracles. You were never even a footnote in a bard's drunken tale. You were just here, living, scraping, forgetting your own name on days when the sun baked your thoughts dry, or when you had to barter the last of your mother's woven cloth for 2 figs and a half-rotten onion. You weren't important, but you were real. Welcome. You shift slowly, your joints whispering complaints. The roof above you is slanted, patched with reeds and mud. You hear it creak sometimes when the wind picks up, like a whisper in a language you don't speak anymore. Outside, the day is beginning, not with songs or golden light, just the soft sounds of chickens complaining, someone dragging a bucket, and a child coughing too hard for someone that small. And still, you lie there. Your tunic smells faintly of mold and last week's festival wine, the one you watered down so far it was more lie than drink. But it helped you sleep. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe you've just been tired for years. You don't know the day, not exactly, but it's early in the season when figs ripen and the dust sticks to your lips more than usual. There's a cracked clay bowl on the table with something that was probably cheese once. A fly explores it now, more curious than you've felt in months. The truth is, you're still tired, and that's okay. Take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see. You were promised myths, and there are plenty, glittering ones with gold-plated gods and marble heroes, but those aren't the ones you knew. Not really. Because the gods never knocked on your door. They lived in the stories that drifted through the bathhouses and markets, big, loud, shining tales, full of thunder and betrayal and punishments. Zeus turning into swans and bulls and somehow still managing to be the worst husband in all of Greece. But those stories were for sleep, not for truth. You didn't pray to a god expecting him to show up. You prayed because no one else was listening. In your world, Apollo didn't bring sunlight. The old man across the field did, when he cleared the brush with his rusted sickle so you could plant barley. And Aphrodite? She was the baker's wife, who wore red when she knew she shouldn't, and still got all the olives she wanted from the men who stared.
No one carved temples for your gods, the gods of small favors, the gods of don't let my child die, the gods of please let his wrath fall on someone else. They were quiet gods, your kind, the kind that waited, unseen in dusty corners. The fire cracks softly in its pit, little more than a glow under last night's ashes. You'll need to rebuild it if you want anything warm, but that's a decision for later. For now, You just breathe. The sandals near your bed are worn smooth. One strap is held together with twine. You've walked in them too many times to count. Down to the river, up to the fields, across the dry hills when the merchant caravans came through, selling lies wrapped in silk and bronze. You always bought the lies, just smaller ones, things you could afford. A myth, after all, is just a lie we keep polishing. And some of them, you wore them like armor. Someday I'll leave this place. Someday I'll be remembered. Someday the gods will see me. But someday didn't come. And now, here you are. Not quite young anymore. Not quite old. Just in between. Like a cracked statue in a forgotten shrine. Still standing, but not for anything in particular. Still waiting. Sometimes you think you remember the war, or a war. It's hard to say. They all started the same. Pride, rage, a sheep stolen, or a rumor whispered to the wrong ear. Then came the soldiers, then the burning, and then the silence afterward. You think you lost someone, maybe a brother, maybe more. But even grief fades when no one shares it. And in the quiet, you began again. Because you always begin again. With hands that carry more dirt than hope. With eyes that have seen enough, but still look. With dreams that don't reach Olympus. Just the next fig tree. The next dry season. The next time the gods forget to look away. And yet, in all of this, there is still something soft inside you. Something that knows. That maybe your story won't be carved in stone. Maybe it won't be sung. But it was lived. And it mattered. Even if only to you. Even if only once. Even if the gods themselves forgot your name the day you were born. That's okay. Because you remember. And for tonight, that's enough.
You hear the goat before you see it. It's somewhere outside, tied too close to the door again, dragging its hooves against stone, huffing like it's more tired than you. You wonder if that's even possible. The morning is still gray, still quiet, the kind of silence that isn't peaceful, just paused. Like the world is waiting for someone else to start moving first, someone more important, someone better dressed. You shift your legs slowly under the blanket, careful not to catch the toe that's been sore since last harvest. You don't remember what you stepped on. A rock? A lie? The gods probably know, but they're not telling. You sit up, not because you want to, because life requires it. Because the clay roof doesn't fix itself, because someone will knock on the door at some point today and ask for something you can't afford to give. Time, food, patience, another favor they won't repay. You won't say no. You never do. Your hands feel like bark, dry and cracked. Skin once soft, now shaped by years of rope, grain, ash, and salt. There's still dirt in the lines of your fingers from yesterday. You didn't wash. You rarely do anymore. The well's too far, and water's too precious for vanity. And it's not like anyone looks at you that long. The goat bleats again, a sound too dramatic for an animal that does so little. You pull your tunic over your head, and for a moment, just a moment, you're a child again, hiding. Safe in the dark. Before the weight of days pressed down on your chest, before you knew that gods could bleed, and sometimes their blood looked like droughts or taxes or a brother who never came home from the Navy. Back then, you thought Athena might visit your dreams, that Hermes might guide your feet away from trouble, that Dionysus might smile on you during the festivals. Now, you just hope the goat doesn't eat the fig saplings again.
You stand slowly, brushing crumbs off your knees. The bread from last night was dry enough to start a fire with, but you ate it anyway, because hunger isn't poetic. It doesn't care about texture. It just sits in you like a stone and waits. You don't remember when you last ate a meal that filled you, or laughed so hard you couldn't breathe, or kissed someone without wondering what they wanted from you. The myths never warned you about this part, about the days that drag on with no war, no glory, no divine punishment, just the slow erosion of hope, like waves wearing down stone. You open the door. The sun hasn't risen fully yet, but the sky is soft with early light, pale and wide, like it's still stretching its arms. You hear the river in the distance, trickling over rocks that haven't moved since your grandfather's time. The goat eyes you, judgingly. You sigh, and untie its rope. It doesn't thank you. You don't expect it to. You step outside, sandals scraping against the packed earth. The village is quiet. Just a few homes like yours, stone, patched with reeds and prayers. Some have small altars outside, a little wine left for Dionysus, some grain for Demeter, offerings in case the gods are bored enough to notice. You stopped making offerings a long time ago. Not because you stopped believing, but because you stopped expecting. There's a fig tree at the edge of your yard, young, scrawny, like you were once. You check the leaves. 2 small figs hang there. Still hard, still green, still pretending to be food.
You touch one gently. Not yet. Your neighbor passes by, her arms full of laundry and disappointment. She nods. You nod. No one speaks. You both know there's nothing new to say. And even if there was, who would listen? The goat finds something to chew. Probably your sandal strap. Again. You let it. The air smells like dust and thyme. Somewhere, someone is baking bread. The kind you used to eat when the world felt bigger. When stories still lived in your bones. When you thought being chosen by the gods meant something good. But being chosen just meant being noticed. And being noticed, that could ruin you. You think of Icarus. Everyone remembers how he flew too close to the sun. But no one ever asks where he thought he was going. You sit on the step, watching the morning unfold slowly. The world doesn't rush here. It never has. History might spin faster in Athens or Thebes with their marble steps and blood-stained amphitheaters, but here it crawls like a beetle under warm stone. And yet even here, myths slip through the cracks. Not the shiny ones, the boring ones. The old man who claims his grandfather wrestled a minor river god and lost. The woman who swears her cousin saw Artemis bathing and hasn't been right in the head since. The boy who swears he heard Hera speak through the mouth of a dying goat. These aren't stories. They're warnings. Told slowly, told quietly. Told to people like you. People who will never matter enough to be remembered, but might still be punished if they forget their place. You scratch the back of your neck. The sun is rising now, lazily, spilling light across the dry path and making everything look more golden than it feels. It almost feels like hope. Almost. The goat sneezes. You remember that you're supposed to fix the fence today, or maybe go down to the river and check the traps, or maybe just keep breathing. Sometimes that's enough. The myths will say otherwise. They'll tell you to rise, to fight, to conquer, to seduce. But you just want figs. And maybe a little peace. The wind shifts, soft and warm. It carries the smell of someone boiling lentils. Maybe your neighbor. Maybe a god in disguise, making their presence known in the only way they know how, through food. You wish they'd bring some over. But gods don't knock anymore. They leave you to your mornings, your goats, your fading dreams, and the silence between footsteps. You lean back against the doorframe, eyes half closed. The world doesn't ask anything of you in this moment. It just waits. And so do you.
You stay seated longer than you meant to. The sun warms the step beneath you, smoothing the edges of your thoughts. Your hand rests on your knee, still. Not out of peace, just habit. There's nothing you're rushing to, and nothing rushing to you. That's the rhythm of this life. Not a story, a loop. The goat sighs dramatically, as if it's doing the hard work here. It wanders off toward the fence you haven't fixed. You think about calling it back, then you think about standing, then you don't. It's easier to sit. The kind of easier that feels earned, like old scars or broken habits. You look out at the dirt path winding past your house. No footprints yet today. That's something. No one needing a favor. No merchant with dreams too big for their sandals. No old friend who only remembers you when they're hungry. Just birds. Just dust. Just silence. And you. You close your eyes for a moment, but not to sleep, not really, just to disappear for a while. And in the darkness behind your lids, your mind drifts, not to dreams, but to memories that might not even be yours anymore. You remember a story, a local one. No epics here. A man who claimed he met Ares, not on the battlefield, not in armor. Just a man at the well, offering him the last bucket of water before a long drought. Said the god looked tired. Said he didn't speak, just handed him the rope and walked away. That was it. No miracle, no glory, just a small kindness in the heat. Some people laughed, some believed. You weren't sure which you did, but you never forgot it. Maybe the gods are tired. Maybe they've been watching too long, waiting too long, hoping too long, just like you. The light shifts. You open your eyes. Still morning, though the sun has climbed higher now, and the breeze carries the heat like a promise. Inside, the walls of your home feel farther away, like they're giving you space, like they understand that some days are not meant for movement. You think about the myths again, the real ones, the grand ones. Perseus, Achilles, Odysseus, all names you grew up hearing, not from books, there weren't any, but from mouths too tired to say anything original, retold and retold until the stories were smooth as sea stones, their rough truths worn away. No one ever told you that Odysseus's crew died slowly, from thirst, from boredom, from missing home. That Perseus probably smelled like goat the whole journey. That Achilles had blisters. They didn't write that part, because that part was yours. The boring part. The living. You rise slowly now, not because something calls you, but because your back needs to move. The step is too hard, your legs too stiff, and the sun keeps climbing, whether you care or not. You stretch, and it's not heroic, it's not mythic, it's just sore, just real. The field needs tending, or maybe the fence, or maybe the trap down by the stream, the one you haven't checked since before the last full moon. You sigh and reach for your walking stick, a gift from a neighbor who didn't like you much, but pitied your limp. That's something. It still works. You shuffle past the fig tree. The goat has knocked over the bucket. Again. You ignore it. Again. What else can you do? The dirt path is warm. It smells like sun and old sandals. Like stories no one bothered to record. You think about your father. You're not sure what he believed in. Maybe nothing. Maybe just debt and luck. But he always said the gods only love mortals when they're dying or singing, and you were never good at either. So you walked. You listened. You stayed small. And maybe that saved you. But it didn't make you happy. Down by the stream, the air is cooler. Trees lean in, whispering the same gossip they always do, about wind, about birds, about nothing important. The trap is still there, half sunk in the water, half forgotten, like everything you ever built. You crouch, checking it. Empty. Of course it is. You should feel frustrated, but mostly you just feel tired. A quiet kind of tired. The kind that settles behind your ribs like dust. The kind no sleep ever really fixes. The kind the bards never sing about, because they only write about action, not waiting, not fading, not you. You sit again, too, this time on a flat rock by the water. The breeze moves through your hair like it remembers you. The trees creak, the sun warms one shoulder. You exist here, and for now, that's enough. You wonder if any god would notice this moment. The quiet of it. The truth of it. Probably not. Unless they needed something. Or unless you died here, in which case they might take credit, say it was fate, say it was part of some grand design. But you know better. You've lived too long and too plainly to believe in design. Sometimes life is just a stream that doesn't catch fish, and you are the trap. Still waiting, still hopeful, still empty. You smile a little at that. A dry, crooked smile. It's not funny, not really, but it's true. And in this world, truth is rare enough to feel almost divine.
The rock beneath you is warm now. It's not comfortable, just less comfortable than standing. You shift slightly, letting your feet rest in the shallows of the stream. The water glides around them without caring. It doesn't greet you. It doesn't judge. It just moves. You envy it a little. You stare at the current, at the way it carries specks of dirt and old leaves like memories too small to mourn. It reminds you of something. A name, maybe, or a promise you once made to someone with soft hands and tired eyes. You can't remember. Time does that. It strips things down, wears them smooth. Even your own story doesn't feel like yours anymore, just something you heard once. A myth told badly. You think again about the fish you didn't catch. There might not be any left. Not here. Not since the last dry season, or the one before that. The earth cracked, the river thinned. The priest said it was punishment, though he didn't say for what. You think he just liked blaming people. But the truth? Sometimes the river just goes dry. Sometimes the gods don't speak, not because they're angry, but because they're not listening. You lean back slightly, looking at the canopy above. The branches are tangled like old thoughts. Sunlight filters through, soft and slow, like it's trying not to wake you. And maybe you're not fully awake. Maybe you're still somewhere between sleep and memory, drifting like one of those leaves in the stream, the kind that doesn't fight the current, just floats. You close your eyes. It's quiet here. You can almost forget the noise of the market, the clatter of amphorae, The sharp arguments over bread that's mostly air, the smells of sweat and cheap incense, the whispers about taxes and grain, and that one neighbor who swore he saw a satyr in his cellar. He was probably drunk. Or lonely. Same thing. You open your eyes again. Nothing's changed. The water still flows, the trap still waits, the world still forgets you. You think about leaving. Not the rock, not the stream. Greece. Just leaving. Walking until the hills look different, until the dialects change, until your name, if anyone bothers to ask, is new. People do that, even now. There are travelers who pass through with blank eyes and thin stories. They carry scars that don't match their faces. They lie badly, but no one questions them, because everyone understands. Sometimes the past is too heavy to carry under your real name. But you haven't left. You stayed, because it's easier to live a boring life than a broken one, and because hope, that dry little weed that grows even in cracked soil, kept whispering, maybe tomorrow. But tomorrow was always shaped like today. Still, the wind stirs. Your skin smells like dust and copper, like old linen and sun. You run your fingers along the edge of your tunic, noticing a tear you hadn't before. It doesn't matter. It'll tear more. Everything does. Even stories. Even gods. You wonder if the gods get tired of being worshipped. If they ever wake up and think, not again. Another goat. Another hymn. Another prayer that smells like desperation. Maybe that's why they hide. You'd hide too, if everyone wanted something from you. You think of Zeus, all thunder and pride. They say he ruled from Olympus with storms in his eyes and lightning in his hands. But if you ask the old women, the ones who remember things no one else does, they'll tell you he wasn't much better than a drunk uncle with a crown. They say Hera didn't chase his lovers because she was jealous. She chased them because she was bored. That's the kind of story that never makes it into the scrolls, but it's the only one that ever felt real. You smile a little at that, not because it's funny, but because it makes you feel less alone. The stream gurgles beside you, saying nothing, saying everything. The wind lifts a few dry leaves and lets them go again. You watch them fall. Not gracefully, just honestly. Your stomach growls, but it's quiet, like a reminder, not a complaint. You might go home soon. Or you might sit here until the sun tilts lower and your bones stiffen from stillness. There's no one waiting. Not really. Just the goat. Maybe the neighbor who always needs help lifting something. Maybe the fig tree, pretending it's generous. You think of all the things you meant to do, meant to say, meant to become. But they faded. Not all at once, just slowly. The way morning fades into noon, the way names blur when no one speaks them, the way myths die. Not with fire, but with silence. You dip your hand into the water. It's cool. It wraps around your fingers like memory. You hold it for a moment and let it slip through. It leaves no trace. No one will know you were here, but you were. And that matters, even if it doesn't.
You stay at the stream until your knees complain louder than your thoughts. The sun has moved. Not far. Just enough to remind you that time hasn't stopped, even if your story has. Shadows lengthen across the stones like stretched regrets. You stand slowly, with that quiet grunt that says your body still works, but just barely. A sound that no one hears but the trees.
And maybe the goat, if it's still loitering near home, chewing something valuable. You give the trap one last glance. Still empty. Of course. It feels like a metaphor, but you're too tired to decide what for. Your walk back is slow. Not dramatic, just ordinary. Your stick taps against the path like a bored heartbeat. One step, then another, then another. Nothing heroic. You don't fight monsters, you fight gravity. And maybe the ache that settles in your chest when you remember how quiet everything's gotten. The fig tree greets you first, still pretending to be generous. The goat is curled in the shade, looking smug, as if it spent the day making important decisions. You nod at it. It doesn't nod back. You think about speaking. Just a word. Just to hear a voice. But the moment passes. Inside the house, it smells the same as always. Wool, ash, and the vague sadness of laundry left too long. You pour some water into a cracked bowl and tear off a corner of what's left of your bread. It resists. You chew anyway. Hunger is a patient god. It doesn't punish you all at once. Just slowly, softly, like a weight that never leaves. You sit by the door again. You watch the light change. And you remember a story. Not a myth, exactly. More of a whisper. There was a woman once, years ago, who claimed she spoke to Hades. Not in the underworld, not in a vision, just at the market, while buying onions. She said he had kind eyes, that he paid in full, that he asked for nothing. No one believed her, but you did. Because gods, if they walk among us, don't arrive in lightning, they arrive in lack. In the man who fixes a fence and asks for nothing. In the old woman who leaves bread on your doorstep the night your roof collapses. In the goat who stays. Or maybe not. Maybe the gods don't come at all. Maybe they left long ago, embarrassed by what we became, by how we used their names to excuse greed, to excuse blood. Maybe they forgot us, just like we forgot the real stories. You pick at the corner of your tunic, a loose thread, a reminder that nothing holds forever. They used to say fate was a thread, didn't they? Spun, measured, and cut. But no one tells you how thin it feels when you're living it, or how frayed. You watch a bird land on the fig tree, peck once, then leave. Even it knows not to stay too long. You used to believe you were meant for something. Not greatness, exactly. Just more. Maybe a shop of your own. Maybe a child who would grow up and tell your name to someone else. But life didn't unfold. It just folded in. Quietly. Like linens stored for guests who never came. You breathe in slowly. The air is warm now and thick with summer dust. You can taste it on your tongue. Old soil, baked wheat, the faint trace of bees. You think of Aphrodite. Not the one with roses in her hair. The one the olive merchant swore he once saw in a storm, barefoot, eyes lined with grief, standing by a broken cart full of rotting fruit. He said she wept. Not for love, for waste. You believed him too. Because if the gods still walk, they walk in ruined things. You close your eyes. You listen. No harp strings, no prophecy, just the creak of your stool, the wind against reed walls, the low familiar rhythm of a life no one bothered to write down. And maybe that's why you still sit here, because someone has to remember what wasn't remembered. The chores, the dust, the empty traps, the worn faces of people who only prayed when it rained. The truth is, you were never meant for legend. You were meant for this, for now, for the breath between stories, for the silence between names, and in that silence you exist, not brightly, not beautifully, but honestly, like water in a cracked bowl, like a prayer said once and never repeated.
The sun is lower now. The light has changed, not softer, not warmer, just thinner, like it's slipping away, one silent thread at a time. You're still sitting in the doorway, watching dust shift in the air. Little flecks of yesterday, old pollen, stray ash, the kind of tiny things that float even when everything else has settled. There's a peace in it. Not joy, not satisfaction, just the absence of noise. The kind of quiet that asks nothing of you. You haven't spoken since morning. Your voice still exists, you think, but it's grown shy, like a dog that hasn't been called in a long time. There's no one to speak to anyway. The goat is asleep now, curled like a question no one wants to answer. The fig tree has done its part, offered 2 green fruits and the illusion of generosity. And the sky, once wide and blue, now leans toward gray, the soft kind, with streaks like unspun wool. You exhale slowly, and for a moment you forget where you are. Not because you're lost, but because nothing needs you. Not the neighbors, not the gods, not even the world. You could sit here forever and it would change nothing. And strangely, that comforts you, because myth always demands movement, a quest, a dragon, a war. But this is the part that never gets told. The stillness after failure. The breathing that happens when no one is looking. The sitting in a doorway while the day quietly leaves. And you wonder, what if this was the whole point? Not the glory, not the greatness, just the being, just the living, just the nothing. You watch a thin thread of smoke rise from your neighbor's chimney. Someone's cooking something. Probably lentils or onions boiled to softness. It smells distant and almost kind. It reminds you of your mother. You barely remember her face now. Just her hands, always busy, always tired, the way she used to hum under her breath when no one else was in the room. She believed in gods fiercely, not the shining kind, the kitchen kind, the ones who watched the pot and guarded sick children and kept mice from the grain. The real gods, the ones you could talk to without being punished. You catch yourself humming now, not a song really, just a thread of sound. It surprises you. You stop, then start again, softer this time. There's no melody, just breath and memory. And in that moment, you realize you're not waiting anymore. Not for the trap to catch something, not for the figs to ripen, not for Zeus to strike your name into the sky. You're just here. And that maybe is sacred too. Because the gods, if they ever did love anyone, must have loved the quiet ones. The ones who stayed behind to sweep the temple floor. The ones who lit the oil and whispered names they didn't understand. The real gods. The ones you could talk to without being punished. You catch yourself humming now. Not a song, really. Just a thread of sound. It surprises you. You stop, then start again. Softer this time. There's no melody,
just breath and memory. And in that moment, you realize you're not waiting anymore. Not for the trap to catch something, not for the figs to ripen, not for Zeus to strike your name into the sky. You're just here. And that, maybe, is sacred too. Because the gods, if they ever did love anyone, must have loved the quiet ones. The ones who stayed behind to sweep the temple floor. The ones who lit the oil and whispered names they didn't understand. The real gods. The ones you could talk to without being punished. You stretch your legs slowly. The ache is still there, old, familiar, like a bad joke told every day. Your eyes wander across the yard. A cracked jar lies near the steps, half full of rainwater. It reflects the sky in ripples, a tiny mirror of a world that doesn't care. But it's beautiful anyway. You think about a story you once heard, about a man who challenged Apollo to a music contest. He lost, of course. Apollo doesn't like losing. The man was flayed alive. His skin hung from a tree as a warning. But no one remembers what song he played. No one asks what made him challenge a god. You wonder, what if it was a really good song? What if for just a moment, even Apollo listened? That's the kind of meth I believe in now. Not the punishment, the pause, the moment of silence after something beautiful, before the pain begins, the stillness. Like this one. You lean back into the doorframe. The wood creaks gently, like an old friend settling in beside you. The air smells faintly of dirt and smoke. No stars yet, but they'll come. They always do. Not for you, not because you asked, just because they were already on their way. And that, too, is a kind of comfort. You sit quietly, not thinking, not waiting, just breathing. And in the silence, you hear the oldest story. You lived. You didn't win. You weren't chosen. But you were here. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.
Night doesn't fall. It drifts. Soft as ash. Slow as breath. You don't notice when it begins, only that the shadows no longer have edges, and the light around you has folded itself into something quieter. The world gets quieter too. No birds, no goat, not even the wind. Just the hush of things remembering how to be still. You haven't moved. The wood behind your back feels warmer now, as if the day left its last kindness there. Your arms rest across your lap, limp like old vines. You tilt your head just slightly, just enough to see the first stars appear. 1, then 2. Not dramatic, not bright, just present. You stare at them. You try to remember their names. Orion, Cassiopeia, that one that always looked like a question you were never meant to ask. You used to know the stories, the official ones. The daughter too proud, the hunter too bold, the bear, the scorpion, the swan. Gods and monsters burned into sky because someone, somewhere, had the time and ego to name them. But you never saw those shapes. You saw hunger, a bowl not quite full. You saw longing, the ache behind someone's eyes when they thought no one was watching. You saw yourself,
in a sky that didn't care what you called it. You blink, slowly. The stars don't answer. They never do. You wonder again if the gods are watching. But it's an old habit now, this wondering, like touching a scar long after the pain has gone. Not to feel, but to remember the feeling. You shift on the step, just a little, bones stiff, legs unsure, the kind of body that once belonged to a boy who ran down hills too fast. That boy's gone now, or hidden somewhere inside, curled up beneath the years. You miss him sometimes. Not for his dreams, they were loud and foolish, but for his belief that the world might love him back, that the gods were listening, that stories mattered. You hear something. A small sound. Not far. A pot being moved, a door closing, human sounds. The village hasn't gone to sleep, just to quiet. Everyone waiting in their corners of this life, hoping nothing breaks tonight. No roof, no child, no heart, no gods visiting. That too is a kind of prayer. You look up again. The stars are multiplying now, thicker, stranger. It's the kind of sky that makes you feel both large and small, like maybe you do matter, and also that you never did. You breathe in, slowly. Cool air, damp earth, the faintest smell of burnt lentils from someone's too long supper. You think of the myths again. You always do. They cling to your thoughts like old fabric, worn thin but still there. The gods in them were always loud, always angry, always shining. But you've never seen anyone shine. You've seen men cry after battle. You've seen women curse the gods with more poetry than the temples ever wrote. You've seen children buried with olives and broken toys. If that's what the gods want, you want nothing from them. And if they don't want it, then maybe they've lost control of the world they made. Maybe they're just watching it unravel, like a bad tapestry, one mistake at a time. You look down at your hands. They've done work, nothing sacred, nothing worth carving into stone, but work all the same. Held tools, gathered grain, carried others, buried others. They've given more than they've taken, and maybe that counts for something. Or maybe it doesn't. You lean your head back. The stars are still there, still not answering. You think of a girl you once loved. She had hair that smelled like smoke and a laugh that didn't last long. She left. For a better life, maybe? Or just a different one. You hope she found it. She believed in Aphrodite, used to whisper to her before sleep, used to think love was a gift, not a debt. You envy that kind of faith. You envy anyone who still believes that gods might be listening, that stars remember names, that myths are anything more than decoration on pottery no one can afford. You close your eyes. Not to sleep. Not yet. Just to rest inside the dark. To see if it feels different when it's chosen. The night holds you gently, not like a lover, more like a mother who's tired too. You hear the faint sound of wind, not enough to call it a breeze, just a breath. The trees sigh. The house behind you creaks. And for a moment, just a moment, you wonder what it would feel like to be remembered. Not forever, just once. by someone whose name you never knew, someone who sees your footprints, who finds your house, who hears your hum in the evening silence, and doesn't look away. But those are not the kind of myths they tell. Still, you stay. Breathing. Watching. Forgotten. But real. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for tonight.
There's a stillness to this hour, not the kind that feels holy, not the kind poets wrap in gold leaf and call divine, just the kind that happens when everything has given up trying. The world around you has settled into its own quiet breathing. You feel it in the ground beneath your feet, in the walls of your little home, in the air that holds its breath for no reason at all. No one is watching you, and strangely, that feels kind. You shift slightly, pressing your back harder against the wooden doorframe. It groans a little, tired as you are. You imagine, just for a moment, what the door has heard. Years of footsteps, arguments that started quiet and didn't stay that way, children's laughter, someone's sobs muffled by night. And now, silence. The kind that swallows everything but memory. You wonder if the stars can hear thoughts. Not prayers, just the quiet ones. The ones that don't have words. The ones that sound more like breath or doubt, or the way your heart stutters when you remember something too late. You look up again. There are more stars now than sky. Little fires so far away they've forgotten what they were burning for. None of them are yours. And still, you look. That's the strange thing about being human. You know it won't matter. And still, you look. You've done it your whole life. Looked for signs, looked for mercy, looked for someone to notice when your hands bled or your stomach ached or your roof cracked in the middle of a storm. No signs came. Just time. And the slow truth that you weren't chosen. Not by gods, not by fate, not by anything that left a mark. But you stayed anyway. You learned the rhythm of living like this, slowly, softly, without applause. You learned to find meaning in bread that doesn't mold, in goats that don't run away, in figs that grow, even if they never sweeten. You learned to live the myth no one wanted to write. The one where nothing happens, where the war never reaches your door, where the gods never descend, where you wake, you work, you wait, and you sleep. And no one sings about it. Because it's too boring. Because it's too true. A breeze brushes your cheek. You breathe in with it. It smells like the fig tree, like dust, like sleep. You think of stories you've heard, the flashy ones. A hero slaying a beast, a god seducing a mortal in the form of mist, a city crumbling under divine punishment for building its walls too high. But no one ever talks about the next day. What happens after the hero leaves? What happens to the ones still sweeping the streets, still boiling lentils, still watching the stars, wondering if they matter? You matter. You say it softly, in your head. It doesn't echo. It just exists. Like the creak of the house behind you, like the groan in your knees, like the smell of smoke drifting from someone's forgotten fire. You matter. Maybe not to Olympus, maybe not to the poets, but maybe to the night, to the dirt you've walked 1,000 times, to the neighbor who borrows your tools and never returns them, to the goat who trusts you enough to fall asleep close by. You let your head lean back. The wood is warm again. Or maybe that's you. The stars blur a little. Not from clouds, just from tired eyes. You think of sleep. You always do around this time. Not because you're excited for dreams, just because it's what comes next. Just because it's what you've done every night since you stopped hoping for more. And yet, you wonder what the gods do at this hour. When the temples are dark, when the prayers have gone quiet, when no one is begging. Do they sit? Do they think? Do they feel the same tired ache you do, not in the bones, but in the parts too deep for medicine? Maybe. Maybe not. But if they do, you hope they know what this feels like. This exact moment. This exact breath. To sit in the doorway of a life no one applauds. To watch stars that never speak your name. To feel small and tired and still. Here. Alive. That's the thing they never teach in myths. Sometimes surviving is the story, and it's always the hardest one to tell. You close your eyes. The world holds its breath with you. You don't sleep yet, but you could. And that is enough.
You haven't fallen asleep yet. Not fully. You're hovering in that thin space between waking and dreaming, where thoughts drift like lazy clouds and nothing holds its shape for long. Your head has tilted slightly. You don't remember doing it. Your neck has given in to gravity, a slow surrender, not a collapse. The stars above you still shine, but you no longer care what they mean. Their stories, the heroes, the monsters, the punishments, all feel like someone else's life. Someone with a sword, someone with a destiny. You've only ever had sandals, and a list of chores, and a sky that didn't answer questions. But tonight, it's not asking anything of you, and you're thankful for that. You breathe deeper now, slower, like your lungs have remembered a rhythm older than work, older than grief, like your body has started to believe that, for once, it's safe to rest. You hear things, but not clearly. Soft sounds. A bird, maybe. A dog far off. A creak in the roof. Not urgent. Everything is wrapped in hush, like the world has been padded for sleep. You imagine the gods asleep, too. Even Zeus, sprawled inelegantly on some celestial couch, snoring like a man who's proud of too much. You smile. Barely. Just enough for the thought to count. A laugh would take too much energy. You remember something now. Not clearly. Just a feeling. It might have been a festival. You were young. You had no money, but carried a fig you'd saved, soft and warm in your pocket. You gave it to someone, a girl maybe, or just a friend who looked sad that day. You never asked it back, and they never said thank you. But the moment stayed, longer than most things do. It drifts across your mind now like a leaf across water, untouchable, already fading. That's what dreams are made of. Not grand quests, but tiny things. A fig, a hum, a night that forgot to hurt. You shift your feet. One of your sandals has come loose. It doesn't matter. You'll take them off soon anyway. Or maybe you already did. You think of the trap by the stream again. Still empty, probably. But it caught your attention. And maybe that was the real point. Not the fish, but the going.
the act of checking, of hoping even just a little. You're still hoping. You didn't mean to be, but it's there, tucked somewhere deep inside you, like an old note folded too many times. The kind you find years later and can't bring yourself to throw away, even though the ink is smeared and the meaning's long gone. You hear the goat shift. It's dreaming. You wonder what of. Can goats dream of flying? Of feasts? Of climbing Olympus and kicking over Hera's wine? You decide yes. Why not? If people can dream of being gods, surely goats can too. You take another breath. This one feels different. Fuller, heavier. Your body begins to loosen, the way linen softens after many washings. You're no longer sitting quite upright.
The days grow
Your head
longer
rests
now.
against the frame now.
Sunlight spills
The wood
through the
is
shutters
rough,
earlier.
but familiar.
The birds are louder.
Everything familiar
Even the
feels
dust
holy
in the
at this
hallway
hour.
seems to glow
You
with
imagine
more
someone
confidence.
telling your story.
You rise
Not a
before
bard,
anyone else,
Not a priest,
as you
just
always do.
someone.
Not because you must,
Someone who doesn't make it
but
louder
because the
than it
quiet
was.
feels
Someone
more
who doesn't
honest
add lightning
before the
or
castle
blood.
wakes.
Someone who says,
The
"You
baby
lived,
is 7 months
and you
old
tried,
now.
and you kept
He has
going
begun
when it
crawling.
didn't matter."
Slowly,
You'd
like a
that
creature
version.
exploring a world
Simple.
that does not
True.
yet belong to him.
Forgettable in the nicest way.
You lay pillows near
Like
the
a good
hearth
night's
so he
sleep.
doesn't bump his head.
The stars
The
blur
nursemaid
again.
complains.
Or maybe your
says
eyes are
he'll
closing.
ruin the rugs.
Either way,
That floors
the world
are no
begins
place
to
for
dim.
noble children.
Not fade, just
You
dim,
nod
like a lamp turned
and let
down
him crawl
low.
anyway,
You feel your
because the
heartbeat,
rugs will recover,
soft, slow,
and he
a
will not
metronome
be small
for no
long.
song, just presence.
Your body has mostly
and in that
returned
stillness,
to what it was before,
one last thought drifts in.
but not really.
What if this was enough?
The shape is similar.
Not the life
the
you
gowns fit
imagined,
again.
not the
but the
story the
feeling is
scrolls would
different.
keep. Just
Your
this,
hips ache in the cold.
this moment,
Your breasts
this air,
are marked with soft
this soft
lines
edge
that
of
never
dreaming,
fade.
and the quiet
Your
that
feet
finally
still swell when
gently
you stand too long.
lets you go.
You are told
Sleep
this is normal.
doesn't arrive.
You are told to be
It
grateful.
Surrounds.
Grateful that the labor was not worse.
Not all at once.
that the child was not
not
sickly.
with ceremony.
that your
not with
husband
song.
hasn't taken
just
a mistress.
slowly.
You are told these things
Like
as
a
if they are
tide.
gifts. As if
Quiet.
women should survive hardship
Steady.
and then thank the world for not making it
Inevitable.
worse.
You are still
do
in
not
the
argue.
doorway, but not
But sometimes, when the room is
really.
empty
You feel the
and
wood
the baby
behind
sleeps,
your back.
you sit by the mirror
You feel
and
the
look
air.
at yourself.
Warmer now.
Not out of vanity,
or maybe you've
just
cooled
to remember
match
who
it.
lives beneath the lace and linen.
You feel the day letting
You
go of
touch
you.
the softness of your stomach, the curve
you
of
let
your
it.
collarbone,
There
and
is
press your
nothing
hand
left
to
to
your
hold on
heart
to.
and feel
No
it still
task
beating.
unfinished. No story
Still here.
demanding to be told. Just the hush of
You
existence.
haven't bled since the
Just
birth.
the weight
At
of
first,
eyelids
they said it was
heavier
natural.
than memory.
Your body healing, adjusting,
You're not dreaming yet,
recovering.
but the ground beneath
But
your
it has been
thoughts
many
is
months,
shifting.
and now the whispers have begun.
You hear voices from long
Another
ago.
child, they murmur.
Not words,
A second
just
heir.
tones.
So soon?
A mother's warning.
So soon.
A friend's laugh.
You are not certain.
A
you do not
stranger's
feel it.
chant drifting
you've
down a
learned by
road
now-
you never walked.
Feeling has little to do with it.
You remember none of it
The
clearly.
priest blesses your chamber.
And
the
still,
midwife returns with
it
her bundles
comforts
of
you.
herbs. You are handed tea
because sleep
and dried roots
is not made
and
of
told
logic.
to rest more,
It is
to
made
walk
of
less.
echoes,
to hope.
and you are full of them.
You are not asked how you feel about the
The stars
possibility,
are no longer
only
individual.
whether you are ready,
They've become one
as if
sky,
readiness were something
a
women could
soft
control.
sheet pulled over the earth.
You say nothing.
You
Because
don't look
silence
up now.
is the only answer
You
they'll
don't
hear
need to.
anyway.
You believe in them again.
The
Not
baby
because they've
says
answered,
his first word on a
but
rainy
because
afternoon.
they've stayed.
It's not mother, it's not father.
You feel your body
It's
grow
just a
heavier.
sound, somewhere between
not in a
da
painful
and
way.
ga.
not
But he
in
says
defeat.
it with such triumph,
Just
you find
in
yourself laughing.
stillness, like a jar
real laugh.
settling on a shelf
Not a polite
after
one,
being carried
not
too
a
far.
quiet one. And when he
You are
laughs
allowed
back,
to be
it
still
feels
now.
like the two of you have won something.
Nothing will be asked of you tonight,
You carry
by
him through the
gods,
corridor with the windows,
not by ghosts.
the long one that catches
not
the sun
even
at
by
just the right
yourself.
angle. He babbles as you walk.
You hear the house
You
sigh.
reply in soft
knows your
nonsense.
rhythm.
He doesn't
It
care what
knows
the words
you won't
mean.
move again.
He only wants the rhythm of your voice.
The floor inside is cold, but the
windows
doorway
are tall.
is warm.
The kind
Or maybe
designed
memory
to
makes
impress
it warm.
guests, not to
Maybe
keep out
you're
cold.
remembering a summer from years ago
But today
when
the glass
everything
is
was
warm
full
with
of
sunlight.
sound and the future still had
You pause
shape.
in the middle of the hallway,
It
just for a
doesn't
breath.
anymore.
just to feel the light on your
And somehow,
skin and the baby's
that's a
small
relief.
weight on your hip, and the
Because
silence
shape
between
means
two heartbeats.
expectation, and expectation is a
You
heavy
close
thing.
your eyes, and in that
You no
moment,
longer carry
you
it.
are not a wife, not a lady,
You carry
a duty.
only breath,
you are just someone
Soft.
who survived
slow,
and still loves,
close.
still hopes,
You think of the myths
still
again.
waits for the next
You
bird
always
call.
do,
But that,
even now. But they feel different this close to sleep. Lighter, looser, like leaves instead of tablets, like smoke instead of stone. You remember Heracles. Not his strength, not his labors, just the version someone told you once that he cried after killing the lion. That he wasn't proud, just tired. That's the version you believe. Because you've cried too. And not always for reasons the world would call heroic. Sometimes you just cry because the figs didn't ripen, or the roof caved, or the goat ran, or the days all started to feel the same. And then you keep going anyway. That's your myth. Not a glorious one, but a true one. And tonight it ends not with triumph, not with tragedy, just with sleep. You are ready for it now. You feel the last pieces of your waking self loosen, fall away. Your hands don't move. Your thoughts slow. Your breath deepens. Nothing hurts. Nothing hopes. Everything simply fades. And in that fading, a thought, if the gods still see you, they do not speak. But maybe they are watching. And maybe even in their silence, they understand what this moment means. To stop, to rest, to need nothing, to be nothing, except a breath in the dark, and a name no one remembers, but a life that was real, and lived, and quietly, finally, allowed to sleep.
You've left the doorway, not with your feet, but with something softer, something that doesn't walk, only drifts. You are no longer here, but not somewhere else either, just somewhere. The kind of place that doesn't need names, doesn't require shape, doesn't ask who you are or who you were. Here, there is no past. No goat, no hunger, no dusty roof waiting to leak. There is only silence. But not the lonely kind. The kind that folds around you like linen warmed by the sun. The kind that says, stay. You don't see anything, not exactly, but there are colors. Not bright, not bold, just gentle. A pale gold like a childhood afternoon. A soft blue that feels like someone humming in another room. A gray so light it barely counts as a shadow. You move through them, or maybe they move through you. There are no edges here, no doors, no gravity, only rest and the feeling that nothing bad can reach you now. This is not a story. There are no characters, no conflict, just memory reshaped into softness. You think maybe you're a cloud, or the idea of one. You stretch without tension, float without direction. You don't speak. You don't need to. Even your thoughts arrive slower now, like pebbles dropped into still water. You remember your home, not the walls or the roof, just the feeling. That doorway where you sat, the fig tree, patient and stingy, the goat, too loud for such a small creature. They're not gone, just farther now, faded, as if tucked behind thin cloth. Still there, still yours, but not required. You've crossed into the part of the story where nothing happens and everything heals. Your breath is deeper now, not because you're trying, because there's nothing left to do. Even sleep has taken a step back, letting your body drift into something deeper, something without names, without myths, without the weight of being remembered. Here, the gods don't walk, they float, they blur, they sleep too. You think maybe they envy you, the way you've slipped so fully from expectation. Even they are made of duty. You are not. You are just peace now, held, suspended, whole. You sense something around you, not watching, just with you. The way warmth is with fire, the way music is with silence. You do not fear it. It means no harm. It has no name. It does not ask. It simply stays. And so do you. You will not wake soon, not because you can't, because you don't need to. The trap can wait. The stars can wait. The silence has you now. And the world, that heavy, beautiful, cracked, and dust-covered world, can keep spinning without you for a little while. You have earned this. Not through heroism, but through surviving, through existing, through being quietly, constantly real. And now, at last, you rest. You are farther now than you've ever been. Even your body, that stubborn thing of aches and sandals and hunger, has slipped behind. You feel no weight, no name, no edge to yourself. You've passed even beyond sleep. This is the space before stories, before the first god claimed a name, before mortals built temples from fear and ambition, before fig trees, goats, and empty traps, before anyone needed to be remembered. You float, but float is not the right word. You are simply here, held in stillness, not paused, not frozen, just complete. The air, if there is air, hums lightly around you. Not a sound exactly, just a tone. It says nothing, but you feel it, like the memory of music, like the warmth left in a room after someone good has just left. You are not cold. You are not curious. You are simply being. In this dream, there are no shapes, only suggestions. The sense of a hill that no longer stands, the shadow of a river that hasn't flowed yet, the warmth of a face you once loved, but without features, without need. Everything here is unformed, and somehow it's more real that way. Even time behaves differently. You don't feel it passing, you feel it surrounding, like soft fabric, like mist, like the moment before sleep stretched to infinity. You wonder, gently, vaguely, if this is what the gods feel. Not power, not worship, just detachment, a freedom from beginning and end. You do not long for anything. Desire itself has fallen away, peeled off like an old cloak. There is no want in you now, no need for figs, no wish for stars, no ache to be known. Even your thoughts are not thoughts anymore, just slow ripples across a still pond. No splash, no urgency. You sense something in the distance, not coming toward you, just existing alongside you. A presence, like a shape behind fog, not a god, not a person, not even a feeling exactly, just something. It isn't watching, it isn't waiting, it is simply there, as you are. You drift beside it, or it beside you, and for a while, a moment, a century, a breath, you are both the same, undefined, unforgotten, unburdened. You think, if you wanted, you could stay here, forever, not as a name, not as a myth, just as peace, and no one would know. And that too feels gentle. There are no endings here, no return, just softness, just the dream before the first fire was lit, before the first olive fell, before the first mistake was carved into marble. You are that dream now, the one even the gods forgot, and you are finally free.
You are not moving. Not because something holds you still, but because stillness is now your shape. There is no beginning here, no morning waiting to arrive. Just a calm so deep it forgets how to end. You drift without moving, float without direction, not across space, but across feeling. Each moment is a soft ripple, wide, slow, unhurried, stretching outward through the dark. You are not alone, but no one is near. There are no footsteps, no voices, only the distant idea of presence, like someone once walked past here and left behind the scent of cedar or warmth in the floor. That too is enough. Even here, Beyond memory, beyond shape, you can still feel the wind. Not on your skin, but deeper, like a story returning long after the words were forgotten. The first wind, the kind that was never written down, the kind that didn't need a name. You feel it, ancient, soft, absent of weather, moving through you like a breath that existed before lungs. There are no gods here, but you remember the idea of them. Zeus with his fists full of thunder, Athena with her patience shaped into armor, Poseidon always angry at something he couldn't hold. You think of them like you would old neighbors, once loud, now distant, now quiet. Maybe they are sleeping too. Maybe even immortals get tired of being seen. You are not part of their story anymore. You are not part of any story, and yet you are still here, still present, still whole, in the strange way that only dreams allow. You do not know where you are, but it doesn't matter, because here, location is a myth, a shape invented for waking minds. In this place, even names fade like footprints in silt. You feel yours slipping, not lost, just let go. The way you let go of a full breath when you no longer need to hold it. There is a softness under you now, not ground, not sky, just something gentle, something that says you may rest longer, and you do. You think of nothing now, and even the thinking feels optional. The fig tree does not exist here, but you carry the warmth of it. The goat does not bleat, but you remember its weight against your leg the one time it chose to lie close. The trap has no meaning now, but the act of checking, the hope inside that, still lingers in your chest. Even without your body, you feel it. Not pain, not effort, just memory that refuses to sharpen. You are a cloud of self, a thought without voice, a presence unshaped by need, and it feels kind, as if the world, all of it, has finally stopped asking you to prove yourself. You are no longer building or healing or carrying. You are simply resting. And there is no higher purpose, no deeper meaning, only this. The wind that was never named, the dark that never hurt you, the dream that doesn't ask to be remembered, and the knowledge, quiet, unshaken, that you are safe here, still here, and nowhere else matters.
You do not wake, not even a little. The thought of waking passes near you, a flicker, a shimmer, but it does not stay. You are somewhere beyond the pull of daylight, beyond the needs of body and name. You drift, not because you are lost, but because there is nowhere to arrive. You are not asleep anymore, not quite. You are something older than that, something simpler, something more. Here in this vastness without form, even time has grown too tired to keep track. It circles gently, loops, rests. There is no pressure to return, no calendar waiting, no rooster, no sun, no voices calling you back to sandals and bread. Only the long, slow hush of existence unobserved.
You might be lying down, or floating, or folded gently into the fabric of something soft and without edge. You feel no weight, and that, too, is kindness. You sense a presence again. Not a god, not a ghost, just familiarity. As if some part of you has found the rest of you, and they're sitting quietly together now, not needing to speak. There is nothing broken in this place, because nothing has been asked to hold. You carry no stories here, no scars, no pride. Only warmth, diffuse and undemanding. Somewhere a sound rings out, but it's not a bell. It's not a voice. It's not even a tone. It's the idea of being remembered, and it fades peacefully without needing to be chased. You don't reach for it. You don't reach for anything, because in this depth, even reaching feels like effort, and you have finally been allowed to stop trying. You think vaguely, distantly, of old myths, the ones about sleep that lasted for years, men who lay down beneath trees and woke up to find the world changed. But you are not waiting to wake. You are not in a story that moves. You are in the pause that stories are afraid to name. Because here, in this infinite, mythless rest, you are not a character, you are not a lesson, you are not a warning or a prayer or a footnote. You are simply breath and rest and silence. And in that silence, you feel the weight of every hour you've ever carried being quietly returned to the earth. Not dropped, not cast away, just set down, lovingly, softly, gone. You do not ask to stay here. You do not ask at all, because asking requires want, and all your wanting has curled in and gone to sleep. You are not dreaming. You are not thinking. You are simply held. And nothing has ever felt more true.
There is nothing left to do. Not here. Not now. The body you once carried has vanished behind stillness. The thoughts you once balanced have unspooled. The stories, yours, theirs, the gods, have quieted into dust. And the dust doesn't rise. It settles. Even your name is gone now. Not lost. Just unneeded. You are not gone. You are not erased. You are simply not separate anymore. You are part of the quiet now. The slow drifting hush between stars. The space between the fig falling and the ground catching it. The place where sleep forgets it ever had a beginning. You do not breathe, not the way mortals do. There is no chest rising, no lungs pulling at the night, but something in you moves gently, like wind over warm stones, like a memory you don't need to remember. Here, even dreaming has faded, not ended, just softened until it no longer needs to happen. You are not a dreamer. You are not a sleeper. You are only stillness shaped by presence. A presence so complete it no longer distinguishes itself from what surrounds it. There is no horizon, no edge, no distance between what you are and what you touch. You touch everything and nothing, and it is
enough. Somewhere, not near, not far, an idea flickers. It might be the sound of water. It might be the feeling of cloth against skin. It might be the last thread of a forgotten song. But you do not chase it. You are past the need for next. You have become a circle now. No start, no end, only softness. You wonder, or something in you does, if this is what the gods feared, to dissolve, to forget the boundaries they guarded so fiercely. But this does not feel like loss. This feels like peace they never earned. Because you lived a smaller story, a quieter one. You survived without miracles. You endured without prophecy. And now in this breathless space where myth has uncoiled and silence is whole, you are finally allowed to be unshaped. You are not the fig tree. You are not the goat. You are not the trap, or the field, or the hands that stitched the tunic. You are not hunger, not even satisfaction. You are rest. The rest no one wrote about. The kind without music. The kind without metaphor. The kind so deep even the stars forget to shine. And in this rest, you are perfect. Not flawless, not holy, just untouched.
Nothing happens here. And that is the point. You are not waiting. You are not healing. You are not remembering who you were. You are simply not needing to. This is the part of sleep that never gets mentioned. Not in poems, not in myth, not in medicine. It's too quiet to notice, too complete to describe. A silence so whole, even your own thoughts choose not to echo. You are not dreaming. You are not wondering. You are not anything that begins with I. There is no center to you, no shape, no boundary. You are rest made whole. You are stillness, unshaken. There is no light here, no darkness either. Just the space that existed before either knew what to call themselves. You don't float. You don't sink. You simply remain. Not clinging, not choosing, just being. The universe, if it exists here, has stopped asking questions. And so have you. Even the gods would not come here. Not because they can't, but because they do not know how to stop being known. They wear names like crowns. You left yours behind. And now, without name, without history, without shape, you are full of nothing and everything. There is no metaphor left to cling to. No fig tree, no trap, no half-baked bread on a chipped plate, no silent goat beside you, no stars above. Only the still breath of a world that has let go of its need to turn. Even time has curled into itself and closed its eyes. You are inside that breath now, not beside it, not observing, inside it. You have become the pause, the breath between the falling and the landing, the breath between thought and word, the breath between life and more life. There is no fear here, because fear needs shape. And here, you are not shaped. You are simply held, not by arms, not by gods, not by fate, just by being. And that is more than enough.
You're still here, still within, still surrounded by a peace so quiet it doesn't even call itself peace. It just is. No story presses in, no voice calls you back, no myth waits with open arms. Everything has softened. Everything has folded in. You haven't been forgotten. You've simply been released. There is no burden to carry in this space. Not your name, not your history, not even your shape. You have become something simpler. Not a soul, not a shadow, not a spirit drifting in the afterworld. You are more like a breath held in perfect balance, so still the universe has paused to listen. You feel no weight, no need, not even sleep now, because sleep was something you fell into. This is different. This is what waits after sleep, and before anything wakes. You are not remembered here, not by the gods, not by the wind, not even by yourself. And somehow that feels kind, because memory, even when sweet, asks something of you. But this place asks nothing. It allows, it accepts, it holds. There is no direction, no next, no before. Just the sense that you are included. Included in something ancient, something wide, something so gentle it doesn't even press against you. It simply allows you to be part of it. And that, in its quiet way, feels like the truest kind of belonging. You drift, though even that word is too sharp. You don't drift like a leaf in wind, you drift like warmth in water, felt, not seen. Here, even the myths grow quiet. They no longer call for you, no trials, no wisdom, no path of flame or song. You are beyond metaphor now, beyond symbol, beyond the aching need to matter. You are stillness itself, not guarding, not healing, just present. You wonder, if wonder still exists, whether this place existed long before Olympus, long before scrolls, long before the first human reached toward the sky and called it divine. Maybe this wordless, undemanding space, was the first God. Not a being, just a stillness that loved without needing to be praised. And you are inside it now. No temple required, no offerings, no sacrifice, no plea for favor. Only breath, only softness, only the slow circular rhythm of nothing needing anything. You could remain here forever. But not in the way people say when they're happy. This is not joy. This is not comfort. This is release. A full, gentle letting go. And you've done it without knowing when or how or why. You are not remembered, and that, at last, is okay. Because now you remember nothing too. Only this: you were, you are, you rest.
Nothing touches you here. Not because you are hidden, not because you are far, but because everything that once reached for you has stopped reaching. There is no need now, not for light, not for sound, not even for silence. Even silence is resting. It has laid itself down beside you, not as a hush, not as a concept, just as presence. You are not asleep. You are not awake. You are not in between. You are beneath. Beneath time. Beneath knowing. Beneath the soft weight of everything you ever were. And here, where even silence has stopped speaking, you find something you did not expect. You do not miss the world, not the stars, not the fig tree, not the little goat with its defiant bleats and stupid warm eyes. You carry them, maybe, but only as softness. Their edges have been smoothed by distance. Their names have been set down. Even memory rests. You no longer remember what pain feels like. You no longer wonder what's next. There is no next. There is only here. And here is not even a place. It's a hum beneath the world, a softness behind the veil, a room inside your soul with no door and no walls, just the breath of something that never needed to be born. You are there. You are it. You are nothing, and you are everything. There is no center, no watching presence, not even the idea of gods anymore. They were myths. You are not. You are what remains when myth is no longer needed. You are the breath that continues long after the story ends. The part no one speaks of because it is too quiet to name, too wide to hold, too still to be seen. You are not even resting now. You are rest itself. Not a person, not a figure, just the moment before all things begin again, and the moment after they've all let go. And in that final hush, the one beneath all others, you are whole. You are not alone, but only because nothing here has edges. Not even you.
There is no movement now. Not even the suggestion of it. No wind, no ripple, no breath pretending to be anything more. The world, if it still exists around you, has gone to sleep inside its own silence. And you are beyond sleep. You are no longer part of the story, but not because you've left it, because the story itself has settled, grown still, grown quiet. You were never the hero. You never needed to be. And now, you're not even a character.
You are the pause between pages, the softness between spoken lines, the dream before the myth begins. You are the clay before the pot. You are the fig tree before it was planted, before someone needed it to feed them, before it had to carry the weight of fruit and shadow. No one needs anything from you now, not even you. You don't exist to be understood. You don't exist to be found. You don't exist to be remembered. You simply are, and even that truth is so light it doesn't ask to be held. If this were a myth, this would be the place the storyteller skips. Too quiet, too soft, too full of nothing that can be retold. But you are still here, still cradled in the space where sound forgot to form. There are no gods here, not because they're gone, but because they were never needed. Even memory doesn't dare enter this part. It knows it cannot carry meaning here. It knows it cannot reshape this silence into anything useful. So it waits. Somewhere far above, the shape of a life still exists, small and quiet. You were part of it once. The bread, the sandals, the trap that never caught a thing. But they don't matter now. Not because they were meaningless, but because meaning has become unnecessary. You don't even wonder how long you've been here. You don't wonder anything. Wonder is a kind of movement. You are past movement. You are past shape. You are what remains when even the dream forgets its dreamer. And yet you are whole, still, entire. The hum beneath the hush, the rest beneath the rest. The part no one speaks of, because there is nothing left to say.
No more drifting. No more dissolving. You've arrived, but not at a place, at a stillness so full, so entire, it no longer needs a shape to hold you. There is no beginning to this moment, and no end. It simply is. Like sleep. Like stone. Like truth, long before language arrived to carve it. You are not waking. You are not dreaming. You are not waiting for either. Even time has grown silent around you. Not stopped, not frozen, just resting. Everything is resting. You are not being remembered, but you are not forgotten. Because in this last hush, you feel something deeper than memory, something older than gods, older than sky, older than the idea of being known. You feel place, not location, but presence. You were here. You were. You existed quietly, with your worn sandals, with your bent back, with your unfinished stories. You lived without applause. You loved in moments no one saw. You stayed in a world that did not reward stillness, and you stayed anyway. And now, you are free of all that. Not in triumph, not in glory, but in peace. The trap is still down by the stream somewhere. The goat might still be asleep. The fig tree may finally have ripened, but those aren't yours anymore. And that too is kindness. You have set it all down. Every name, every task, every myth you were told and didn't believe. You do not need stories now. You do not need gods. You do not need to rise again. You are not part of history. You are not part of prophecy. You are part of quiet. And quiet never asks for more than your presence. Here, where the breath is steady and softer than sleep, you are simply what remains. You were not a hero. You were not a warning. You were a person. And that was enough. So now, rest. Fully. Finally. Completely. You were here. And now, you are peace.